Hello and welcome to the Cloud Computing Fundamentals Module 1. So let's begin. What is cloud computing? Cloud computing is when computing services are done over the internet instead of on premises. So basically, the internet, or what we're going to refer to as the cloud. And computational services are things like servers, storage, databases, networking, software, and so on. Essentially, cloud computing lets you access these resources without having to have and manage the physical hardware. So, for example, if you back up your phone data on the cloud, that data is being stored at another physical location and accessed over the internet when you need it. So, what makes cloud computing cloud computing? A lot of the core principles of what makes cloud computing, and something that you'll see on almost every cloud provider, which are the companies that offer these cloud services, are for them to be on demand and self service. So that means users can reserve or provision these types of computing resources without a lot of interactions with service providers, and oftentimes do this automatically. The resources are accessible over the internet from multiple different locations and devices. So you can access your backup data for your phone or on your computer. It doesn't really matter where you're doing it. Of course, there are stipulations depending on what service you're using, but for the generals, it's pretty much almost any device in any location you can access these resources. Resource pooling. So cloud providers often can use the same resources for multiple customers or users, where they can provision or give out the same physical and virtual resources to multiple users depending on the demand. So the server that's running in the basement of, I guess, your school is just kind of running there. It doesn't matter if someone else at another school needs it. It's only going to be able to work for that university. But if you're using a cloud provider, it pulls all of the resources that's dedicated for whatever, and can allocate it to whoever needs it at any time. Quick scaling is another principle where resources can be quickly and automatically scaled out. So you can go from having one user online to hundreds of thousands of users. Of course, there is a bit of variance with how things are structured internally, but one of the major selling points of cloud computing is that you, as a user, don't have to worry too much about how to deal with scaling. The cloud providers will handle that. And then there's measured services. Most of the times, cloud providers are saying that they'll help you optimize resources, or you will, depending on what service it is exactly, and that you'll only have to pay for what you use. While that might not be exactly what happens depending on what pricing model you use, if you reserve some sort of infrastructure for X amount of time, in theory, you should only be paying cloud services for however much you use of it. Which is different than if you build your own server inside of your house. Um, and no matter what, as long as it's running, you already have to pay for the server itself. You already the physical infrastructure. You're the sunken cost already. And then scale. The main things are scalability, flexibility, and cost effectiveness. If you look at major cloud providers, more than likely some of their core principles are going to be one of those three things. So, I hope you understand the gist of what is cloud computing.